Hey guys, welcome back to another pick a card reading. In this video, we're going to be looking at what people are saying about you, okay? So this can range from them talking about you, just surface level topics, all the way to more personal things. We're going to get super detailed. This is always a fun one to shoot, so I hope you guys are excited too. We have 4 piles to choose from. Pile 1, 2, 3, and 4. Feel free to pause this video for a moment if you need some time to meditate on which of these piles or stones you feel the most drawn to. And then once you've decided, you can fast forward to the timestamp in the description box below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. And without further ado, we will get started with pile 1. Hey pile 1, welcome to your reading for all of you who chose this Labradorite heart. Let's see who, or I guess who, but more so what people are saying about you. So we have Strength, the Knight of Cups, the Four of Cups, as well as the Ten of Pentacles. So actually, these are all pretty positive cards. The cups are a little slower, especially this Four of Cups though. Maybe people think you're a bit slow on something or a bit slow to make a decision, perhaps. The Strength card though is a strong energy to start off though with this reading. It gives me the impression that when people talk about you, they like to talk about your stronger attributes, maybe your more positive traits. People could think you're very courageous or you've done stuff that takes a lot of strength and energy. People could also say things like you have a lot of stamina, you have a good prowess, very positive, straightforward kind of things with the Strength card. And also this Knight of Cups, also maybe people say that you're very spiritual as well. Sometimes that can also come up with the Four of Cups paired with the Knight of Cups too. Maybe you're very romantic, or even your relationships too can come up with the Knight of Cups. But I think people generally talk about your softer nature, your more positive attributes, your spirituality. If you're very spiritual or you're religious, you could also come up in that context into the conversation if people are already on that topic. And the Ten of Pentacles is the card of success and financial abundance, stability. So I would say actually looking at all of these energies, it's very stable, reliable, and to the point with this pile. I think people tend to like to talk about the positive things concerning you, maybe where you're at in life. The Ten of Pentacles also pertains to goals and career. I think people like to talk about you because it makes them feel good as well. Maybe talking about your success story or the things that are very positive that are happening to you. Yeah, it could also have to do with that. Maybe people are a little envious about you when they are talking about you. Because the Four of Cups, you can see how she's wishing for this one cup here. So there could be a little bit of that happening, a little bit of envy. Although I feel like it's usually that people are coming from a good place when they're discussing you, just because there isn't really anything wrong that they can find with you. I think overall, again, things are looking pretty positive for this pile. I mean, if people do have anything bad to say about you, it would probably just be that you're slow. Maybe you lead a bit more of a pampered lifestyle, and things always go right for you, which could be a little bit repetitive at certain points. But other than that, though, I think people like to talk about you. I think for the most part, also, it makes them feel good about themselves in a way, reaffirming their own positivity. Sorry, I wanted to say positive energy, but I guess positivity started to come out. But let's get you guys more cards to further unpack this, okay? What do people say about pile 1? I feel like people, though, can't really say anything bad about you. Also, you chose the Labradorite crystal, which I usually think of as one that transmutes negativity and flashes it away. So, I don't know, you guys have that quality about you. When people do talk about you, it's very hard for them to stay negative or pessimistic for long. We have new moon in Libra, a new romantic cycle begins. Perhaps people are talking about a new relationship that you're in currently. Although people could tend to like to discuss your relationships in general. And we also have waning moon. What do you need to release? I think you guys are, or tend to be, more on the spiritual side, or at least that's something that comes up with other people that they notice. Because this card is giving me the feeling that you guys are always working on yourselves. You're always trying to better and uplift other people as well. So yeah, it's like when people are talking about you, it's almost like to build themselves up and to think, oh yeah, that person, look at what they're doing, right? We can do it too. Or, I don't know, it just comes up in a very positive way. Or at least it has that potential, when you are a topic of conversation. So yeah, that's really what I'm getting here. Let's keep going. Ooh, this is one of my favorite decks. This is the Divine Circus Oracle. So it has a lot of more circusy stereotypes. So let's see what comes out for you. What do people say about pile 1? Yeah, that's exactly it. We have Sweetheart. Very sweet. You guys could just be, you could have a more cute butterfly energy too. And then we also have Clown of Crossroads. Okay, so you're always in a state of sort of the in-between. You're never really, well, I don't know about that actually, because one of the things I did say was that your energy sounds very stable. This could have to do with maybe you guys changing plans or changing courses in life, your direction. You could always be in a state of transition of some sort. Maybe that's just one of the impressions that people get of you, is that you're constantly in motion, and it's hard to pinpoint you at a specific time. Like, oh, this person, they're in and out of jobs, or they're living here, but they were born here. They're in a relationship, or they're about to be in a relationship. So there could be a little bit of an uncertainty about where exactly you're headed or where you stand. So that could also be another thing that comes up in conversation. But you're definitely resonating, or at least I see the sweetheart energy as that major archetype that people attribute to you. And you do have a transformative effect on people when you are discussed. So for instance, people, if they bring up something that you did, or it kind of serves as a lesson in a way. People are able to come full circle in conversations and then arrive back at a good place and say, well, yeah, that was the major takeaway here. That's what we should be doing, or not even necessarily like that, because you are inspirational. You're a very cool person, I think, when people are talking about you. But you have a way of getting people to reflect on themselves almost, and maybe pushing them to look at the things in their life that they could let go of, or that aren't necessary, okay? Which is really cool. But I do also think, though, that your relationships come into play too, as in people, maybe it's that you come up in a conversation when people were talking about someone else, and then they'll jump over to you just because you're friends with them. That could be a way that you come up, and the way that people talk about you has to do with other people who you know, or friendships, relationships. Oh yeah, well, they dated this person, and so what do you think of that? Or what do you think of this person? Oh yeah, didn't they date pile one? Something like that, okay, could be a possibility. So yeah, let's keep going. What more messages do we have? What kind of things do people say about pile one? Okay, I'm not really feeling these, so let me reshuffle. Pile one. What do people say about pile one? Ooh, a coral's wisdom. It says colony, delicacy, fragility, works that are created over great periods of time. Another thing could be your maturity. People think of you as a wise person, or as having some lessons to offer that other people can learn from. You serve as a learning or a reference point for people, especially in conversation when they're talking about larger issues or things that they themselves are working towards. Especially if your career, if this is tied to your career, or the kinds of bigger goals and projects that you're aspiring towards, people like to talk about that it's fun. It kind of lifts them up as well. And people like to root for you as well. It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe if you're an athlete, this makes more sense to you, but no, I think people tend to have really good intentions for you, and if anything, would like to be included, or would want to be a part of that. They're here for it, okay? All right. Let's get these two. Whoa. Oh my gosh, we have falling in love, kissing the divine in another, in yourself. Yeah, people have a lot of loving things to say about you. As I mentioned, this could have to do with a particular relationship, or your relationships in general. It could also be that people who love you tend to talk about you more. Those could be the people who are discussing you, so that could also make sense with why a lot of positive things are being said here. But yeah, maybe people think you're romantic, and they also like to talk about that side of yourself as well. Maybe also if someone has a crush on you, they are someone who is talking a lot about you too. I think it's pretty fun to talk about you though, because not only are you a very positive topic of conversation, it's kind of a safe topic, but also I think it gets people to look at themselves in a good way and to also reflect, to be optimistic too. And then Time and Tide says oceanic spells and rituals. So you're definitely someone who has a routine, maybe a spiritualish routine that you live by, or a kind of belief set that you live by too. I don't know, but it's kind of cool. The vibe that I'm getting from you guys is that of someone who you would want to actually talk with. You would almost rather talk with you than talk about you, if that makes sense. Also that you're someone who is fun to learn from or learn with. And I don't know, people, Time and Tide, maybe people really enjoy spending time with you. And that could also be another topic of conversation is, yeah, the time I spent with this person, we did these fun things. I can't wait to spend more time with them, or what what have you. So yeah, let's roll the Astro Dice. Let's see, can we get any more messages on what... Actually, no, let's do it twice. What is people's impression of pile 1? Okay, so we have 4th house, South Node, and Pisces. Yeah, it's definitely a Piscean vibe from you guys. Because we got a lot of Cups cards, right? And Cups are associated with water. Pisces is a very healing, mellow, kind of safe energy, or at least that's how I think about it, because it's not really either or. And that makes sense as well with this Clown of Crossroads. You guys are always transitioning. You are never quite in one place at one time. And so people, when they talk or reminisce about memories that they have of you, they're always very different and diverse. There's a lot of variety as well that people get with you. And Pisces is very healing, spiritual as well. The 4th house is the house of home and family. So you guys could be more of a homebody, or that's what people assume, perhaps. The 4th house is very deep. It's also associated with ancestry, or family and roots. So maybe people associate you with a particular place, a time period. People, especially if they do know you well, you could bring up a lot of nostalgia for them too. And then the South Node is also kind of associated with our past and karma, things that we've already mastered. So I feel like people see you as someone who they have a lot to learn from, or who they could learn a lot from, someone who's interesting, maybe who's already ventured far and learned specific things, or achieved certain goals, right? And also just a very powerful, very positive person, okay? So now let's see, what things are people saying about pile 1? Ooh, guys, we have 1st house, Leo. Yeah, there we go. And the moon, interesting. Okay, so Leo is a bigger than life energy. Also, the strength card that we got at the beginning is associated with Leo too. So as I said, people think of you as a very strong person, someone who can overcome a lot of challenges And Leo is ruled by the sun, so it's very light, positive. Again, people love to talk about your wins, your positive energy, or they just like to see you in that way as someone who's more of like a hero, who's victorious and kind of golden. The first house is associated with the appearance, also our first impressions too. The thing is, you give off a very kind impression. Maybe people talk about just like the first time they met you, what the general impression of you is. People could talk about you more on a surface level too. And the first house is the house of the personality. So I think people like to talk about your character, talk about you and your uniqueness. And then the moon is very personal. The moon also, you know, again, people could like to talk about your romantic side, your personal life. Your family could be the people who like to talk about you the most because the moon is also tied to that. And it's also just very sweet. Again, I think the moon here is sensitive, receptive, and also wise too. So yeah, overall, I'm kind of feeling this pile. I really like it. I'm excited for you guys. I will leave this pile here for now because these were the main things that I was getting. I hope you guys liked it and found it helpful. If you did, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, comment, or subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a super amazing day. Stay awesome, and I will see you guys later. Hey, pile 2, welcome to your reading. For those of you who chose this Smokey Quartz, let's see, what do people say about you? Oh wow, okay, so we have the Nine of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Moon, as well as the Seven of Pentacles. So actually, with this pile, this is actually really juicy. The first feeling that I got was I wanted to laugh, actually, when I saw this Nine of Swords. It could be for you guys that your fears or what you think people are saying about you is really true or is the reality, okay? For better or worse. I don't know. I mean, people could have a lot to say about you, though, in general, because whenever we do have the swords here, swords are tied to the element of air, and that rules communication. So, I don't know. People could talk about what you say and, I don't know, later try to dissect it and, I don't know, say things like, hey, so what do you think that meant? What pile 2 said earlier? Something like that. What do you think they meant by that? Yeah, because I almost feel like other people are this Knight of Swords card. They want to pin down and make sense of what you say or what you do. People could want to hold you accountable for something, especially stuff that you say or your actions. Also, with the moon, okay, here's the thing. I see you as being this figure with the red hair, someone who's a bit more secretive. The moon rules secrets, mystery, and has the potential to expose things. So this could just be a period for you guys because I know, I mean, we do have 2 moons here, which are the same crescent pointing to the same thing. So this could represent a period of sort of cultivating where your reputation needs to recover a little bit, or it needs a little bit more care on your guys' part to heal, okay? Not that necessarily this is a period where your reputation or what people say about you is gonna go through the gutter. Sorry, I'm choking up my words a little bit for you guys. This could just be a period where people are more likely to discuss you, specifically in relation to certain other topics that are more intense, okay? Because there is kind of a anxious or nervous feeling that I'm getting here, especially with this Nine of Swords, where you could really be apprehensive about people discussing, I don't know, maybe like a recent misadventure or embarrassment that you had, or just a specific moment or something like that. But I do also get the sense that you guys generally do care about coming off in a particular way or giving a specific impression that you have control over too. And you're generally pretty good about that, of having a constant reputation or upholding a certain impression that you give people. You could want people to, maybe it's like a reputation of being intimidating or feared or something, or even being respected too. I feel like you guys would rather have a fierce reputation than have people know too much of your business, your personal life too. That could be what the moon is getting at. Maybe people are trying to look too much into matters that you wouldn't want them to, or that you would rather keep closer to yourself, okay? Maybe you guys, though, tend to be more introverted, and so having people talk about you is really scary. And I don't know, I mean, generally speaking, though, I feel like people do like to discuss you, because there is a lot here. There's all these swords, the moon. So like, what is pile 2 up to? What did they mean by that? You could give off mixed impressions, or you could be giving mixed signals to people about what to think or how to regard you. You know, it could be unclear at times what you're actually doing or what even you want people to think of you. Maybe you give off the impression, the vibe that you don't really care, but I think deep down you kind of do, or at least there are certain things that you wouldn't want to be run through the mud from other people's tongues, okay? But let's keep going. Let's pull you guys some oracle cards. What are people saying about pile? Also, I wanted to say, with the moon here, this could be, ooh, yeah, we have super moon. Emotions are running high. This could just be an intense period for you where people are more likely to discuss you. And it could be that until the next moon cycle, perhaps the next full moon even, this will just be a period where your emotions, your anxieties, people talking about you is more likely to reach its height, but afterwards things will sort of calm and settle down, okay? Yeah. Okay, what are people saying about pile 2? Yeah, we got the supermoon again. Emotions are running high. Let's get one more. So that could also mean that, you know, if you have anxieties perhaps about people saying the wrong thing about you at this time, and even if they are, just know that I see this sort of being a period where it won't last forever and people's minds aren't completely made up, because I think, again, with the moon, this is a transitionary period. it has that energy of being cyclical. So also what comes around to you will go back to them and vice versa. So yeah, we'll just have to see. Let me know if this is resonating for you. What are people saying about pile 2? Ooh, and we also have full moon in Scorpio. It's time to release negativity. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just realized the full moon in Scorpio is coming up. I think you'll probably see it. Yeah, it's this May 5th. But regardless of when you're watching this, because I feel like this video will be uploaded by that time, maybe like a day before or whatnot, that could actually be a really important date for you. Mark it in your calendar. But the full moon in this kind of energy having to do with release, transformation, even secrets, right? I do see this as being just more so an intense period for you. Kind of almost, I wanted to say seditious, like people are more likely, you're more likely to be incriminated or vilified for something. So yeah, there is kind of that sharp, sticky energy with Scorpio, and also this Knight of Swords, because it can be kind of brash and impetuous with trying to pin something down or come to a conclusion. So that's kind of the energy of other people. So sort of just watch out for that. And also what people are saying about you right now, just remember to not take it personally, because they might not know all the facts, or this could also just be a rough time, okay? But yeah, let's keep going. Also, maybe that's just the topic of conversation. People could just be saying that you're in a rough patch or I don't know, maybe things, you haven't had the best of luck recently. So people, the context in which you're coming up is in that of times changing and things, needing to get with the program or to adapt, right? That could also be a separate line of conversation in which you're coming up as well. Okay, pile 2. What are people saying about pile 2? Ooh, we have Sacred Fool. The Sacred Fool, well, the Fool in general is about risk-taking. It's an innocent energy and also tied to beginnings. The Sacred Fool I think of as the Fool in its purest essence, which is prone to mistakes, but also, sometimes it works out though with the Fool. It's really just about trusting yourself. It has to do with the inner child as well. So I don't know, when people talk about you, they could talk about you in a childish way. You being a child or, maybe making mistakes from time to time. I have that feeling like people, not that they like to focus on the negativity or the mistakes aspect, but they talk about you as if you were a little kid who might need guidance. I don't think people would say that you're immature, or I don't think they think that, but maybe they just see you as needing some direction from time to time, or they just see you in this little kid state. But not necessarily in a bad way, though. I think with the Fool, it's really just getting at, people also respecting your imagination and your childlike side, your wonder and curiosity. People could also see you as very knowledgeable and intelligent too. Maybe very candid and honest. But I do feel like people like to discuss the things that you say or just your actions in general, especially in a kid-like way. Okay, and we also have cherry on top. Yeah, it's almost like you guys are the cherry on top of a conversation. That's what I wanted to say. Or talking about you is just really delicious in some way. As I said, it's probably because there's a lot to discuss. I mean, I'm not necessarily getting that you're like controversial or anything. More so just that there's a lot of, there could be gossip. You could be part of something that's scandalous or, you know, where there's tea surrounding this, because it seems like everyone has something to say about it or about you specifically. Maybe within a specific context or a specific situation, maybe people want to take sides or want to kind of just see what is happening. You know, people could just be very curious about you. Maybe when they talk about you, they are taking on that full energy of being more childlike and wanting to poke fun or like be curious about you, okay? But definitely with this cherry on top card, you're a very delicious subject for people to talk about, just because I think people feel like they can be brutally honest about you. Or people feel no shame in kind of being very to the point about what is up, okay? So let's keep going. I hope this is making sense so far. The thing is, I'm not necessarily getting as much of specific things about you as much as just the context of the kind of discussion you would be brought up in. Okay. Pile 2. What do people say about pile 2? Ooh, okay, so we have receptivity and honor the masculine. This says respecting men, embracing the masculine divine. Oftentimes with this card, I attribute it to independence, freedom, those more masculine, but very positive masculine qualities that are expansive. So, and that also makes some sense with the Fool. You guys have a very expansive, independent energy, I would say. Maybe people just like to talk about your reputation as well. That's another thing. Because you do have a strong character or caricature image, I would say, when you come to mind. And then receptivity, it says allow yourself to receive, allow yourself to give. Okay, so you could be experiencing some blockages right now. Or people could, you know, maybe it's just that people need to cut you some slack and you need to cut others some slack too when it comes to being open, perhaps being open-minded. Because that could also be why people are more prone to sketching a narrow picture of you in their mind or something that is more sharp, because that could just be the vibe that you give off. So with receptivity, this is also about opening yourself up more and like communicating with people just so they aren't getting any mixed messages or there's nothing to misinterpret as well. Okay, so let's roll the astro dice and see what general impression do people get of pile 2. Okay, so we have Neptune. Yeah, that's kind of that murkiness. Neptune is also a deceptive energy too, but it is receptive. It's associated with dreams and spirituality, also creativity too. You guys do have a kind of childlike essence. Also, seeing Leo here, Leo is a strong energy. And oh my gosh, you guys also got the 10th house, which is the house of reputation and our public image, which makes sense, okay? I think, yeah, people, their impression of you is that public persona that you give off, and that strong impression. Someone who, yeah, is very fierce, independent, powerful even, but also someone who isn't perfect, you know, who's human and messes up, right? Although, I don't know, because I just feel like people like to talk about you because of, with Neptune, maybe there's like some secrets that you have, or people could want to know more about you. There could be something that you're not too ready to give away, or that you're not willing to give away to people when we have Neptune here. I also feel like what's interesting about you is maybe you have a bit of a contradictory nature, and that's why people feel like they need to just discuss you a little bit more so they can even just make sense in their mind of what is happening or what you're really about, okay? So yeah, very interesting. I will leave this pile here for now. I hope you guys liked it and found it fun. If you did, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, comment, or subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a super amazing day. Stay awesome, and I will see you guys later. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your reading. For those of you who chose the Pyrite crystal, let's take a look at what people are saying about you. We have the Ace of Pentacles, the Hanged Woman, the Eight of Wands, as well as the Queen of Cups. So actually, I'm getting kind of a fun energy from this pile, kind of exciting. Also with the Ace of Pentacles here, that is a card of new beginnings, new opportunities, especially financially too. Maybe the kinds of people who like to talk about you are actually from your job or from a professional setting also. I also think that the people who talk about you see your social media, okay? And that could be a big impression that they get of you, especially if you have a lot of photos where you look really good or you look more glamorous, right? I see this Queen of Cups as you, pile 3. I think people like to admire you, definitely. In terms of the topics, I could totally see people talking about your business or financial ventures, maybe your goals too, or your career again with the Ace of Pentacles. Also your public image. The Queen of Cups though, actually, she makes me think more of just grace and sensitivity too. She's very sweet. So people could have a lot of good things to say about your character or certain qualities. You could be very nice. People could talk about your charm, your beauty. And then the Eight of Wands is very fast paced. So it could also be that people have trouble keeping up with you, like the news about you, your lifestyle even. So hey, what is pile 3 up to next? Like what what do I need to know? It's almost okay. With you guys, I'm kind of getting a bit of a keeping up with the Kardashians kind of vibe where people want to keep up with you, or maybe people feel like they're a bit behind with getting the latest updates on you in your life. But there's also some nebulousness happening here too with the Hanged Woman. Like people feel like they might not have the whole picture of you. Also, another thing too here could be a bit of manipulation. The Hanged Woman, there's something tying her up, right? And she has a lot to do with perception because she's seeing things upside down. So there can be some disillusionment that happens with that card. And so in this way, maybe the things that people say about you, they don't have the full picture, okay? Especially if they're saying a lot of very idyllic, good things about you. They don't know actually how much time it took, or kind of the backbreaking work, or I don't know, just things that went on behind the scenes in your life to get to this image or this perception that they have of you, okay? So people, they might take your image for granted, or even the impression that they get of you could be a bit tainted and rose-colored at times, all right? But I mean, I guess I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because it seems to be pretty positive though. Or maybe it just works out in your favor. Like people like to assume good things about you, or like to kind of digest you as a topic as if you were this glass of wine. Like people, whenever you come up in conversation, it's usually a pretty relaxed, mellow tone of conversation, I would say. And I also think that there's something kind of mystical and unattainable about you, either like your image or what you've worked towards. Because I do think people like to talk about your dreams and your goals a lot, especially with this Ace of Pentacles. Maybe also people talk about you in a non-personal way, so something more on the surface level. Yeah, because I don't really feel like people know you that well. It's almost like the impression that they get is like one-sided or a bit tainted. There's just one specific version of you that appears in a lot of people's minds. And I mean, it is a good version, I will say that. But I feel like there is this undercurring feeling of people not seeing you or not getting the full you. All right, so let's get into your oracle cards. What are people saying about pile 3? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have, hold on. So the cards we have are New Moon in Aries, it's time to take action, as well as New Moon in Scorpio, work through your fears. Okay. So people talk about your actions a lot, your boldness. I think you guys do have, or maybe it's just that you give off a strong impression, because I don't see you guys being necessarily an intense person yourself. Because these energies are all very much more like positive and more mellow, at least the Queen of Cups, which I see you as really embodying. I think people see you as a very introspective person, someone who does a lot of inner work as well. If anything though, I just think that it's hard for people to keep up with you, keep up with what you're doing, because you guys are always reinventing yourself, remolding where you're going, what your dreams are. I mean, we do have this Ace of Pentacles, so there's always a freshness to you, especially when you come up in conversation, not just about what you're up to next, but just in general, like you feel like a glass of fresh water to others, because maybe you could be very different from them. You could have a very unique sort of approach or lifestyle. The thing is, I feel like with you guys, you come up in a very specific context or kind of conversation. In my mind, for instance, I just got an image of Hedy Lamarr. So look her up. No, but it's a very glamorous image, right? But also at the same time, there's something that I feel like I'm missing about that, or that I'm not quite getting. I know she's definitely a foreigner though. I don't know, maybe it's just that people are missing a bit of the message or the deeper meaning behind what you do. Or again, like the impression, the kind of discussions that people have concerning you are very one-wayed, or how do I say this? Like narrow and almost hollow, because people, maybe they only want to see one side of you and not talk about other stuff, for instance. Let's get you guys some more cards though, because this is really interesting with this pile, I want to say, yeah. Okay, pile 3. What are people saying about pile 3? I do think you guys are a little mysterious, especially for how public you are, or it just seems that way to others. Because you have a kind of refinement and subtleness despite this overarching energy, this very outgoing, kind of exciting, maybe a bit extroverted impression that you do give to people. Pile 3. What impression do people get? Yeah, we have confetti. That also just makes me think of this pyrite crystal too, because it's glittery. Sorry, excuse me for a second. The confetti card is very celebratory and happy. So people really, they get that kind of glamorous, again, Queen of Cups, celebratory, maybe party vibe or picture of you. But it's very happy. I think if you come up as a subject of conversation, that's probably a good sign of where that conversation is headed. Almost like it gets people excited or revved up in a way. Another thing you notice here is this mask too. So I don't know, maybe that is the topic in itself of conversation, or what people say about you, is that sometimes you come off as a little fake, or that they're not getting all of you clearly, like just that happy outer shell. But also maybe it's just hard for people to interpret some of the things you do, or to get close to you even, especially if you are someone who really likes their privacy, okay? So let's get you guys one more. Pile 3. Ooh, and we also have the proud Pyrite. You're someone who's confident. At least you give that impression. Confidence, fake it till you make it. You have a kind of sunny disposition. I mean, okay, there's a few different impressions actually, I'm going to be honest, that are coming through. There's this more exciting, outgoing, happy-go-lucky energy. And then there's also this more mellow, kind of chill, but very beautiful or glamorous impression too. Maybe it just depends on what you're feeling on whatever day. There's something a little uneasy though about that, because maybe when people are talking about you, they realize how much they really don't know you, or that they had a specific impression of you, but they could be wrong. They could have no idea, actually. But either way, though, I don't really see anything negative. So at least there's that. So let's roll the astro dice and see just get any last minute messages on what people are saying about pile 3. Okay, so we have Virgo, Neptune. Okay, I swear to God, Neptune keeps coming up. I think it came out for the last pile. Maybe even the one before that too. I think it did. So Neptune, Neptune is shady. Neptune can be deceptive. But Neptune is also glamorous. So that makes sense considering this Queen of Cups that you got. Neptune rules the arts, music. It can be elegant and glamorous and very beautiful, right? For instance, like people who have strong Neptune accents in their charts tend to have a flair for music, but also it's kind of that thing too where people aren't necessarily seeing all of you. They're just seeing this one very beautiful, picturesque side, okay? And it makes sense that we have Virgo here. You guys could be perfectionists, especially when it comes to crafting your own self-image. Maybe that's what people just like to talk about, is how much of a perfectionist you are. Virgo is also a sign that's very much concerned with their health and also learning too. I don't know, I feel like there's just some mixed signals happening here. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe it's just with you guys, people will say whatever they want or believe whatever they want about you, no matter what you do. So it almost doesn't matter, in a way, what they're saying, because it's going to be, with this hanged woman, somewhat twisted or skewed by the time it reaches other people. That is what they make of you, right? Because I feel like they'll get an impression, but then when they talk about it to other people, they might change their mind or change sort of what they initially thought, okay? And then lastly, the 7th house. This is the house of relationships, partnerships, the other. Yeah, people could talk about you in the context of your relationships, in the context of other people who you know. That could be how you're brought up. Maybe like partnerships or people who you've dated as well. Those could also be the kinds of people who like to talk about you a lot, is friends, but really partners, people who are interested in you as well. And also just that you're someone who perhaps is a very good partner, or someone who really values their relationships too. So I will leave this pile here for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know for this pile, it did feel a little confusing to me, but I hope you were able to get something from it. If you liked it, feel free to give this pile a thumbs up, comment, or subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a super amazing day. Stay awesome, and I will see you guys later. Hey, pile 4, welcome to your reading. For all of you who chose this Fuschite crystal. Let's see what people have to say about you. Pile 4. The 10 of Cups. The 2 of Swords. The 4 of Pentacles. Whoa. We have the Devil, as well as the Princess of Pentacles. Whoa, okay, so I'm kind of already getting a kind of fiery impression here, at least with the Devil and the 2 of Swords. You guys could be a polarizing person to talk about, actually. Maybe a little controversial, or at least in the context that you're being brought up by other people, if it's tied to a topic that people have mixed feelings about, or that they feel is serious too. That could be another thing with the Devil too, is there's a kind of serious tone to which people talk about you. It could also just be that they have the impression that you're a serious person. Someone not to be discussed or debated lightly either. What's interesting here about this 2 of Swords is there's usually 2 different ways this could go. And also with the Devil too, because this is a very black and white card. So some people could take your side and others could tend to view you as more villainous or kind of shady, all right? But there's definitely a strong impression so far that's coming up with this pile. So if this doesn't sound like you, then I don't know, maybe you don't know what people are saying, or this might not be your pile, okay? Also the 10 of Cups, people could talk about your family too. That could be another kind of gateway into discussing you, is talking about other family members or just your family in general. That could also be one of the things that people find very fascinating about you, is your background, perhaps the way you were brought up. Maybe you were brought up in a religious household or in a very peculiar place too. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, people are kind of fascinated by you. It's almost like, while there might be some people who hate you or who will take issue with almost anything you do, or who are more likely to, that is, at the same time, people would still want to talk about you. People would still want to pay attention to what's going on in your life, and even want to would want to look into your background, perhaps, to know more about you. Because there is this thing with the Devil where you can see, what I love about this card, or this deck's depiction of it, is that we have this staircase. So it's almost like either other topics are a gateway into you coming up in the discussion, or you could be a gateway topic to something else. But also with the staircase, it's almost like people want to follow it closer to you to find out more about you, and even your backstory, your background, your back door. I don't know. There's something really interesting happening here, where you're someone who just inspires a lot of, I don't want to say gossip, because I mean, while people might like to assume or kind of talk about the possibilities or the juice, the tea here, there's something more serious though about you that people wouldn't want to discuss you lightly, okay? That's the thing. If you're going to be brought up in a conversation, it's probably going to be a longer conversation, if you know what I mean, okay? Because people will come prepared with certain points that they want to bring up or certain topics to almost try you with, as if you're on trial, right? Like, okay, pile 4, I mean, yes, this was something they did, but also we need to consider X, Y, and Z. Okay, we need to consider their family. We need to consider their upbringing. Yeah, so in that way, there's just all these other things that are piling up here in a conversation that people might have of you. So let's keep going and pull some more cards. Pile 4. What are people saying about pile 4? Full moon, surrender to the divine. I feel like people think that you need some guidance in your life, or that you need some kind of direction or divine kind of guidance, okay? Or to release stuff too. The devil also brings up that theme of needing to let go of bad habits or things that no longer serve us and keep us chained up from achieving our highest potential. So maybe that is something that people tend to talk about, is your limitations or your past kind of karma or mistakes, okay? What do people talk about with pile 4? Yeah, oh my gosh, you guys, we have the South Node. Don't let the past hold you back. So yeah, people are quick to bring up your past, okay? Especially if there's certain things that are questionable, or you know you had some fuck ups or embarrassing times way back. I don't know, people are more likely to be unforgiving towards you just purely because maybe it makes them feel better about themselves too. Because I also feel like there might be some kind of projection happening. Maybe people project their own fears or insecurities onto you. And then when they're talking about you, they're really talking about themselves, if that makes sense, okay? I mean, it doesn't have to be taken to that extreme of a level. I mean, obviously, this is a general reading, and I'm not saying that people tend to view you in this extreme negative way. All I'm saying, though, is just that you're someone who people, when they talk about you, it usually makes for a more serious conversation. Or they could say things like, well, on a serious note, though, you know, it's almost like people are trying to get to the point, the root of something, or to come to a conclusion, right? To tie up in a pretty bow, when that might not actually be the case, and there could be a lot more complexities here. And I think people realize that too when it comes to you. Like, you aren't someone who's simple and straightforward. If people are going to discuss you, but also if people are going to discuss something with you, they already know that they could be in for something more. You know, it's almost like a can of worms. Okay. But yeah, I feel like I'm making it sound worse than it actually is, though, because I don't think it is necessarily a bad thing. I think people just like to talk about, maybe people just like to make this into something that it's not, okay? And I don't know, that could also just be why you're someone who, when other people talk about you, it has to come full circle. You know, people have to admit that, okay, but yeah, let's leave it here. Like, this person, this isn't a big deal, actually, okay? So let's keep going. Let's pull you guys some more cards. We have the Proud Pyrite. Yeah, you guys could have a bit of an ego. Or not even an ego, but just have a strong sense of pride. Especially for where you come from, maybe in your family. We have the Sun card, rah, rah, rah. Both of these actually remind me of Leo energy. So maybe you have some Leo in your chart. Oh my gosh, we also have Alice at the bottom of the deck. So Alice makes me think of curiosity, finding your way, kind of being unsure as well. Because Alice, she goes down a beaten track, okay? She has some run-ins. People could see you in a similar light to that, though, as someone who has lived a very rich life. You know, you have a lot of different adventures and things that you've experienced that are unique to you, pile 4. And I think that's the other thing that people bring up when they do talk about you is, yeah, this person did that. They went for it, or they lived. They did this when maybe they didn't have to, or they shouldn't have. Okay? So there's kind of like this epicness to which people talk about you, either like in the sense of they did something epic, it was an epic fail, or it was just epic. It was cool that this person went for it, you know? So there is also that kind of tone that people take with you. But I think you guys just give off a very strong, confident energy. Maybe if you're a woman too, or a man, actually, both genders, you could run into trouble with people from the same sex as you who see you as competition, okay? That is an undercurring feeling that I got, especially earlier when I said that maybe people, when they talk about you, they use you as a target practice for their own insecurities, or there could be some projection happening here. So, that's another reason why you shouldn't take what people say seriously. But I think with you guys, maybe it comes out in a more extreme way just because it's so clear to other people that you're strong in who you are. You're also not going to compromise either. And you guys could be stubborn here with this 4 of Pentacles and the Devil. And so I think when people are talking about you, they're also, maybe they're talking around you, you know, as a subject, or because people don't want to just say it outright, just say like, okay, I have a problem with this person, or this person is triggering in a certain way, or it doesn't even have to be that. It could also be like, for instance, if people really do like you or are here for it, maybe they just also have trouble describing what it is about you that makes them want to rush to your aid to defend you against others in a conversation or something. Okay, let's pull you guys some more cards. What are people saying? Whoa. Okay. Oh my gosh, yeah, we have reflections. You guys have a way of reflecting back at people. And then we also have beauty. Ooh. You guys could be very good looking. You could spark envy. But no, I think with beauty though, there's something magnetic. It's more so magnetic about you, even charismatic too, especially with this Sun card and the Proud Pyrite. You guys, you have a very captivating, contagious energy, and that shows up in conversation too. You as a topic are a bit contagious. It says grace, loveliness, integrity of form, and spirit. That's very pretty. And I also feel like with this card, it's not a superficial or surface thing. It's also on the inside. And that's also why you serve as a mirror to other people, because internally, well, also externally too, I feel like you guys are quite beautiful. And so when people look at you, when people talk about you, they also, they can tell that you're someone who's very genuine and deep. And so obviously when they talk about you, they're not going to want to talk about the surface, the superficial things. They're going to want to jump straight to what you're about. Okay? So let's roll the astro dice. Let's roll it twice. First roll, what is the impression that pile 4 gives off? Okay, so we have Cancer, Mercury, and third house. Okay, so Cancer, Cancer is very deep. Cancer is a beautiful sign. I associate it with summer too. Cancer, sorry, I keep saying a lot. No, so with this sign though, I think sometimes people can underestimate Cancers, or, this is a fierce energy. Cancers can be snappy. They're represented by the crab for a reason. And they're also very intuitive. I feel like it's hard for people to get close to you because maybe you're someone who's very introverted actually, and you spend a lot of time rather just around people who you're emotionally very close to. So friends, very close friends though, or family, you keep a tight circle. And I think because of that though, people don't have as much to work with. I don't know. Or they might want to get close to you too. Because again, there is this fascination about you, pile 4, where people, it's like they want to be the observer or the person who criticizes, but they also at the same time might want to be your friend or might want to be a part of your circle, okay? And the third house, also associated with Mercury here, deals with communication and short distance travel. So I feel like you're someone who people know about, especially either in your community or within the range of space where you live, your region perhaps, maybe people who grew up with you. You're someone who people talk about, definitely, who they know. People know of you though, they don't know you. And I think that's what's really interesting here. Okay, so let's roll it again. What do people talk about? What are people saying about pile 4? Ooh, okay, so you have Jupiter, Capricorn, and 5th house. Yeah, the 5th house is a very playful house. It's ruled by Leo. And it's also a very fun and exciting house too. Maybe people talk about how exciting, how fun you are as a person. And especially with Jupiter, because Jupiter is all about luck, truth, and also philosophy too. What's interesting here is I think what people talk about with you is more so larger themes and lessons in life, like people, for instance, talking about your beauty or how deep you are as a person serves as a greater lesson that they themselves can take away or even apply to their life. So people have a lot to learn actually from discussing you because, again, you have that reflective quality. And then lastly, Capricorn. Capricorn is a tough sign though, okay? So yeah, people might love to hate you or love you. But either way, people can't deny that you're a strong character, you're a strong person. Maybe you've had some difficult challenges in your life that you've had to overcome. And so people, they can't take that away from you, like your experiences and the things that make you you, right? And I feel like that's maybe why it's hard for people to explain why maybe they feel a certain way regarding you. Like they feel strongly that, for instance, you're not like the best person, or you are a really cool person, you know, and it flips between these extremes. It's very like, I don't know, like you bring up some shadow work that some people have to do. And also what's interesting here is Capricorn rules that Devil card, which is a very prominent energy in your reading. So there could be something karmic there also about Capricorn, especially if you are one. So I will leave this pile here for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you liked it, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, comment, or subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a super amazing day. Stay awesome, and I will see you guys later.